it was definitely a surprise. Yeah, and yeah, but I think the game was well played by Tando, and he actually gave us some nice background as to the game. So yeah, it's going to be a very nice game from a very interesting match. What did you think of that match, by the way? Chess, nonsense, and analysis.
Yes, Watu, here we are again. What are we looking at today?
Well, today we are going to look at a game that was sent to us because we are always encouraging the players, especially now in the league because it's current.
Yes.
From all divisions, that please send us the games. And it's not that we are best analysts or whatever, but I feel that sometimes in a game you will always benefit if there is a different viewpoint to what you've had, right? You always want to have different views in a game that you have played.
Definitely.
And those different viewpoints can definitely beef up your play and your because then you can start to say you start to see what weaknesses are there, if any, in your game or your opening or the position you've played. I think there's a lot of benefit. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. I fully agree. I think that's one of the most difficult things, to kind of size up your own play. It's very, very difficult. So to have that external side, especially coming from a SA legend like yourself, Watu, I think this is a priceless opportunity for people to throw in their games. I'll throw in my 2 cents in there as well. So
no. Well, please don't be modest. Don't be modest here. With Olympian and many times player in the Olympiad and a player who has played against South Africa many times and had great results against title players, beating grandmasters.
Thank you so much.
So, of course.
You can stop now. Thanks, Watu. So
I can go on as well.
Yeah, no, good stuff. But on a serious note, guys, this is a great opportunity, and I think if I were growing up with this opportunity, I would be spamming chess nonsense and analysis with my games. So yeah, I'm excited. We've got someone this evening or this morning, or depending on what time you're watching this, that sent in a game with a lot of energy, and he kind of gave a blow to our team, Manyanani. So what's the game and who are we talking about, Watu?
Well, we're talking about Tando Shakula, and
Mr. Tando.
He played for Crossroads, round 2 of the Premier section, A section.
Yeah.
And he took a point off Manyanani in a well played game. Actually against a player who's on form.
Yes.
Because remember, Dr. Sheps he just recently came from Poland.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
and
seniors,
he had warmed up in Poland. In Poland, he started up slowly, and then he started having very good results.
Yeah.
And so it's it's basically it was definitely a surprise. But I think the game was well played by Tando, and he actually gave us some nice background as to the game. So yeah, it's going to be a very nice game from a very interesting match. What did you think of that match, by the way, Manyanani against Crossroads?
Well, I certainly think that it was much more interesting than it was on paper. Of course, we are welcoming Crossroads to the A division. It's never easy coming to a new division, and I think they had a tough start against not mistaken, against Steinitz in the first round, but in
Yes,
this round. I mean, if you look at the day, Watu, Crossroads played against Steinitz in round 1 and against Manyanani in round 2. That's a rough start. Like, welcome to the A division. So
absolutely.
to get any points on the day would have been or was a good achievement, and they actually did get away with some points, and especially against us. I think they scored 2.5, right?
Enough against us and
It's a
half
lot of
against
points,
China.
right? Relatively
Yeah.
speaking. Tando got a big
Yes.
one in. Not sure. The other one, I think not sure who their player was, but we must have
It
lost on.
was Imkita Joya, the
The
youngster,
girl, right?
the
Yes.
girl. She managed
Promising
to
youngster.
upset
I think it was Hisham.
Sham. Yes,
Yes.
and
And
yeah. So
the draw was on the last board. But
the draw was on the last board. Yeah.
yes. But Tando, you see, he was about 2 boards away from my board, and I always admire Tando's energy at the board. He's always very energetic and full of. He's playing positively, and I could see it. I could see the physical, let's say, conditioning towards the board between the two players. So I was a bit worried from the get-go. And it looked like he knew his stuff over there. Just very interestingly enough, so I was entertained. I saw Tando them over there, and Tando and Shabir, and right to my right, we had Rogov. Of course, we all know Rogov now. He's basically one of the main guys that's on fire here in Cape Town, winning almost everything. Shout out to Matfi, and he is playing against Sibabalu, I think. Sibabalu, and his opponent in some French position sacked. Matthew was playing the French, and his opponent sacked knight takes f7 after like 4 or 5 moves. So I was struggling to look at my own board with this happening. Tando full of energy. This is happening here. For a change, Rogov was defending there for a split second. And then I looked to my left, and you had an interesting game over there as well, on board 1. I think you just managed, the longer you kept the pieces on the board, the more your bishop pair was influential over there. So also a very masterful display on the left. So I was basically entertained in that matchup. And I just took it nice and slowly on my board. So I think overall Crossroads should be... okay, I don't want to say should be happy with the result, but they can be satisfied to a certain degree with their performance coming against 2 of the top teams in the day, for the year probably, or season. So, well done to Crossroads. But what do they need to do? What is their task going to be for this season if they want to stay in this division, Watu?
I think that, look, the main advantage that Crossroads has is that they've got a young squad. This is very important. So what this means is that, of course, if you have a young squad, you are basically building. So so if they manage to keep their squad together and manage to stay in the division, then they are looking. It's like a project, no? Yeah. So in let's say 2 years from now, they can then be one of the contenders, because then you're expecting from young players that the young players are improving, you see.
Yeah.
So I think for me, their main task is the bottom boards. The main task is to stay in the league, not get relegated. So they have to fix the bottom boards somehow. They need sort of a scorer. Because you cannot have a whole team learning. Let's put it that way, right? The top boards can be learning, so it means they're gonna lose a couple of points. But you need maybe the last 3 boards. You need people who are going to put points on.
You need some stability there somewhere. Right?
You need you need some experience, some stability. Guys who are going to just rake those points in. Yeah. So I when I look at their team, to me it looks like they don't have that at the moment. So if they could somehow have that, then they would definitely stay. And then because they are a very young team, I think very soon, maybe not the next season, but the season after that, they
They
certainly
could
will then be,
start
they
flourishing.
could
Yeah,
be fighting. Yeah, they could be fighting.
for sure. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, all the best to Crossroads for the rest of the season. By the way, shall we have a look at that game that Tando handed over to us?
Absolutely. Let's jump in.
Let's jump over to the board.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Dr. Shabir Baudin with the white pieces versus Tanush Lakula. And this is round 2 in the A division, Manyanani versus Crossroads. Here we go.
Right. So we have a Caro-Kann. And the thing here that is interesting is that Tando was generous enough to give us notes on the background of this fight, and he says that actually 2 years ago he played against Dr. Baudin at the Rylands Rapid, okay, and he lost that game. But then, because it was such a painful loss, he then spent some time preparing this opening, and then he was lucky enough to get his preparation, so to speak, on the board. So let's go into it. So we've got the Botvinnik, the palm of Botvinnik, right?
Yeah.
Variation. Yeah. And this position, by the way, for me, it's such an important position because it can be reached by so many move orders, right?
Yes.
So this position can be reached by Caro-Kann, as in this game. It can be reached via a Nimzo Indian, like Karpov has played. So Karpov has reached it with Nimzo Indian or Caro-Kann.
Yeah.
It can also be reached by a Tarash.
Yes.
Queen's Gambit, and with C5, and I take E3, take on D4.
Yeah.
So it is a very, very important position to know for both colors, at least the blends, because it certainly will beef up your chess understanding if you are able to at least have an idea about such positions, right?
Yes. Certainly. Interesting points there, Watu. Yeah. So the structures can be reached via different openings.
Nice. Different openings, so that makes it very important, a very important position, yeah? So knight f3, bishop b4. There are many moves, bishop b7, but okay, this was chosen. Again here, black can take on d5 or play bishop d3. All theory takes on c4, bishop takes c4, castles, and black plays directly queen c7. So this is interesting because, Karpov was, of course, playing this position at the highest level.
Yeah.
Right? And he used to play knight b d7 in this position. He'd play knight b d7, b6, bishop b7, like that. And he would not be trying to go after white. And I think, well, it's simply because, playing at the highest level, you are wary of the preparation of the opposition.
Yes.
And you don't want to confront too much with the black pieces, right? But Tando's approach is extremely interesting, but very risky, but very confrontational. So queen c7 immediately confronting white and saying, well, what are you going to do? So in this position, theoretically speaking, there are 3 moves that can be played. The queen can go to e2, the queen can go to d3 as in the game, or white can simply sacrifice the pawn with bishop d3.
Aha.
And
interesting.
Yes. And to me, Calvin, this I think is the most principled response by white, because white is saying to black, look, you've moved your queen to c7.
Yeah.
You are more than welcome to take on c3, spend another move with the queen. But for me, what are the ingredients, let's put it that way, that will guarantee that this pawn sacrifice, there'll be compensation? And for me, it's the black squares. If we look at white's pawn structure, yeah, we have f7 and e6. And these pawns are on white squares, which means that the black squares are of course, a little bit open.
Yeah.
And if black then takes the pawn and gives up that black squared bishop, we then are having an opportunity to then attack the black squares, right?
Yes.
So let's have a look. Of course, black does not have to accept the sacrifice. But since black has gone out of their way to put the pin on c7,
let's have a look here. What's going to happen if we grab?
Grab, right? So if they grab here, rook b1. So this rook b1 is a very nice idea because, well, look, I can put my rook on b3 and then swing it across to on the third rank, or I could move that rook to b5, right? And do the same and swing it across. Nice. And on the other hand, I can also play bishop to b2. So I'm supporting that bishop b2, d5, and hit the black squares immediately, and get my pieces over to the king side. So this is a very dangerous position for black. And b6 is very logical to say, okay, look, I'm not going to move my queen till you attack it. Let me get my other pieces into the game, right?
Yeah, so makes sense.
A sample variation. Sorry, excuse me, Kevin, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I'm saying it makes sense blocking the b file, right, and continuing with the development. So yeah,
exactly. And a sample variation here is rook b3.
Yeah.
Now let's say queen a5, trying to slow white down by looking at the a2 pawn.
Yeah.
And white though can just go for it here. Rook b5, and if queen takes a2, bishop h6.
Ooh, okay. Talk about using the dark squares.
Definitely. So yeah, this is a sample variation of what can happen. But look at the number of white pieces that are already ready to explode into black's king side, right?
Yeah.
If black captures the bishop, white can play queen c1, and if king g7, rook g5 check. And just incredible attack. And
nice.
Of course, yes, most probably black will get checkmated in this position. So very dangerous. And if after bishop h6, black does not take, which is probably a sensible thing to do, knight b7. Now we look at that idea with that rook going to b1 to b5. Boom, the rook lands on g5.
Nice.
Right? Very dangerous. And if g6, knight e5. And the point of this position is because we're talking about the black squares. Actually, white does not want to take that rook. White wants to attack the black squares. White wants to get the queen involved to attack those black squares. And a very difficult position.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to be on the defending side here in this position. That's very scary. Yeah, okay.
Very
and
scary.
look at your queen on the other side of the world over there. So yeah, this is certainly an interesting sample line of what could happen, right? If you become greedy with black here. Great stuff. Okay.
Yes, and from a theoretical point of view, so basically, why we looked at this variation is because remember we are looking at a game. We're not being biased. We're looking for both sides. So we are saying for white, maybe for Dr. Sherps, this would be something that Dr. Sherps would probably want.
Interesting alternative, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it suits his style more. Yeah. And we are saying to Tando, you have to be careful.
This is one check this one as well.
You have to double check.
Yeah.
And also here, there's another variation which is queen e2. So queen e2 is also it's mixing the two. It's a little bit solid, but chances of also attacking since the queen could go on the king side. And the main idea really here is that if knight b7, that white wants to play knight b5, you see.
Okay.
And again, we're having the same argument of the black squares. So if queen d8, white plays a3. And now the problem for black is that, unfortunately, the bishop must go to a5. Because if you go to e7, you are going to run into
or something. Yeah.
Yes, and you don't want this. And so you probably have to go to a5, and then maybe white can play b4. And this position, definitely black is in the game, but there are questions that need to be answered. Right?
Yeah, you certainly need to know your stuff. Yeah, I feel a bit feels a bit stuffy here for black.
Yeah, there are questions that have to be answered for sure. So okay, but let's go back to the game and see what happened. So those were the two options that were extremely interesting, and I think when you look at those options, you start to realize why a player like Karpov would not want to enter those complications at the highest level.
Yeah, for sure.
Against monsters like, let's say, Kasparov, Shirov, these are not necessarily the people you want to give those positions.
No, definitely not.
So definitely not. So okay, but in the game, 23 was
played. Okay,
by the way, and B6 is logical. And here in the game, Totashevs played A3, and theoretically, we will get back to A3. But knight B5, by the way, there was a game that was played, very important game, in 1959 at the candidates between Paul Benko against Miroslav Filip, and at the highest level, no? And they played knight B5. Knight B5 was played, queen D8, bishop F4, and but black has got a very nice, because it looks scary for black here. It looks like black is
coming, right?
Yeah. But black has got, Benko just played A6 here. And the idea is that if the knight goes to C7, you just play rook
A7 and you
and everything under control.
Nice.
Everything under control, right? So actually, Benko played back knight C3, and the game was very interesting. It was eventually drawn. So now let's go back. So that was possibly what should have been played here in this position. A3 to me is, I've played so many games against Dr. Baudin, and Dr. Baudin is a very scary player because, he strives on activity, initiative.
Yes.
He doesn't care about material, right? Which is the right way to do it if you're going to be active. And he's very conscious of time.
Yes.
But A3 is out of character. Let's put it that way. No?
For sure.
Because the bishop is already on B4, and black will take on C3 anyway. And why, give a move and play A3 in such an important position where tempos will be very, very important. I mean, here possibly white should then, if not knight B5,
you just develop the bishop, right? Yeah.
G5, right? Yeah. And then maybe go rook C1 if you can.
Yes.
Because we're expecting that most probably black will not take on C3.
Like bishop B7, knight BD7, bishop B7.
Yeah. So knight D7 must come, then rook C1 is a possibility.
Much more logical. Yeah.
So this is what I would be expecting that white should treat this game. And after A3, though, this is extremely interesting because now the game sort of shifts, the initiative shifts over to black. And after here, Tando plays this very, very well. So takes on C3 and plays bishop B7. So what are the problems in this position, would you say then, Kelvin?
Well, I would say that black gave up his dark squared bishop, right? But first of all, the knight is no longer there, and perhaps the E4 square is available for black at the moment. There could be potential pressure on the C file, specifically the C3 pawn over there. You already see some ideas of rook C8 in the air. So, and I've seen some classical games where if white is not careful, if black manages to, for instance, trade the light square bishops, black can go for some blockade on the light squares over here. So
Absolutely.
White needs to be really careful with these pawns. These central pawns look strong, but they tend to be weakness if you are not active enough. All right. So I think that's some key factors over there. White, of course, has the bishop pair. He needs to look for some initiative. What do you think, Watu?
I think you gave a perfect analysis, and the one thing that strikes me in your analysis is what I feel, and that is the trump cards. They are all black is having all the trump cards. White has got the bishop pair, but in a way, you kind of feel that there isn't much that black is worried about here, right? It's very difficult for white to be very active and go for an attack like
Yeah.
in all those other lines. There are just too many issues that white has to be worried about in the c3 pawn, the c4 square, the e4 square. A number of things. And actually, just one more thing. When I remember, not necessarily this position, but something similar. There's a game I remember that Karpov played as
Is it
black.
against Geller?
He played many. He played Geller. He played Taimanov.
Against Taimanov. It's either Geller or Taimanov, one of the two. Yeah, I remember specifically.
But I was thinking also, because he was playing a lot of this position.
Yeah.
Against Portish. There's a game he played against Portish. And what he did there, he played knight in a structure where the knight went to d7, right?
Yeah.
Then he just simply took on
f3,
and then played e5, and then played e5. So it's just very, very difficult to find really good plans for white, and white has to be very careful here.
It's almost like the knight on c3. Once you lose the knight on c3, you lose a bit of flexibility. There's no d5 threats. You lose a bit of flexibility from white side. But okay, let's see what happens here. Dr. Shabs, he finishes his development with bishop d2, covers the c3 pawn at least.
Right. And knight d7, bishop a2, and now knight e4. I like this move. Definitely, putting pressure and ready to reshuffle pieces. My d knight can go to f6.
Yeah.
And c3 is under attack, and so rook e1, knight d, f6. And I think actually here in this position, there's always this problem that now I think the threat is knight takes d2, because if knight takes, then the queen can jump into f4 as happened in the game, and you don't have queen takes d2. So I feel that in this position, maybe it's time to really try to change the character of the position. Maybe, can you not play 95? I don't know. It's very difficult now. 95, can this be played? There is no threat, but I'm trying to get out of all these problems.
You take on d2.
You can take on d2. You can put a rook on d8, right? Threatening e5. I mean, it's just very difficult position. But what I want to do, I want to put my knight here, and then maybe move my rook and put my bishop on b1. At least have something there.
Yes.
But I think I'm too slow anyway. But as we always say, you have to ask the questions when you're playing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? Maybe on the issue of asking questions, in this position, instead of rook e1, why don't I ask the question with knight g5? Because I need to ask questions. In a sense that, okay, you cannot take my d2 bishop because of mate. And I don't know if I'm achieving, I'm achieving nothing, but probably black plays knight f6.
Knight f6 again, right?
Yeah. And again,
then I can take on d2 perhaps.
Then d2 can be captured, and I'm not really doing much. So it's a very difficult position. I'm running out of suggestions for white.
We can see that white is just that little bit too slow, and that tempo with a3 is coming back a bit to haunt, right?
Yes, there are tempos that are missing. And look at that rook on a1. It would have been nice if the rook been, let's say, on c1. Then we could have played bishop b1 maybe.
Yes, exactly. And then white would have something at least.
Exactly. So there's so much that is so many moves behind white, right? So black plays knight f6. This is a good move. So we've established that knight e5 doesn't really cut it. So he tries rook c1. And now this is the right time to take knight takes d2, knight takes d2. And I like queen f4 a lot.
Nice. Very nice.
I like queen f4 a lot because it really creates issues. It's basically black taking over, even mentally, isn't it? Because when you are playing now, you can tell, okay, this guy is now attacking.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, first and foremost, he's threatening like knight g4, he's threatening queen g5.
The bishop on b7 is also smiling, putting pressure.
Exactly.
So
exactly, right. So okay, I don't know about f3. I would have look. Dr. Sheps is a very strong player, and I'm sure he looked at options and he didn't like many. But I wouldn't. It's not. I would try to resist very much to play f3.
What should we do? h3 then? I don't know. How do you resist knight g4 coming?
Look, we need to start thinking prophylactically. The knight is coming, right?
Yeah.
So I would play bishop to b1. Okay, first and foremost, just to stop the knight from coming.
Yeah.
Right? That's my first thing. Okay.
Probably and g6 has to happen, no?
Okay, if g6 happens, then okay, fine. Now the knight is coming, right? Yeah. So now I start to say, all right, so the knight is coming to g4. The end game is still quite difficult for me.
Yeah.
Endgame
is just so easy for black because he just puts his rooks on c8 and d8 and the pressure on those pawns, right?
It's a very difficult position. It's a very difficult position, and so it's tough. It's tough. So I understand f3, but I don't think anyone is happy to play a move like f3, right?
Yeah.
And now have a look at this move h5.
Very nice. I like this one.
This one shows a lot of confidence.
Yes.
A player who has a lot of confidence and wants to play. And the problem now is that some h4, h3 is in the air and the structure collapses, right? And also h5 is just nice because the queen can always drop back.
Yeah.
So many ideas. I like h5.
I must just add here I think Tando said, Harry, the h-pawn could not hold himself back any longer, right? So he had to go forward. Couldn't contain himself.
Harry wants to join the party.
Exactly. Nice, excellent move there by Tando. He's turning the heat up with that move.
I like that move. So bishop
here comes
b1.
Bishop b1, yeah.
Goes h4 again.
Nice.
Right, so h3 because he's worried about the structure being disrupted.
Yeah.
And this is a very nice move again, g6. Because g6, first and foremost, it's incredible confidence because you are actually you have calculated that rook takes e6 is not enough, right? Because you play f8. Queen takes g6 and king h8, and nothing is happening.
Exactly.
Right, because now rook g8 is coming. But on paper, I think Tando must be like what 300 points, has 300 points less than Sheps.
Yeah.
But it's not showing. It's not showing.
Exactly. It's not
showing. So rook e5 is played, and now the last piece is brought into the game. Rook c8. Rook e1 and queen g3, c4. Now rook d8 is logical because now d4 pawn has been slightly weakened.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at it. Queen e3, knight h5. Okay, wants to go for some knight f4.
Yeah.
Knight e4. Queen f4. Of course, the end game is horrible.
Again, black is quite happy to trade, yeah?
Yes. Queen c3, hoping for something on the black squares. And now look at that move, rook d5. Inspired.
Swag. Nice.
Inspired.
Yeah? Tando is, in form here. Yeah. Well done.
This this is again, every time I see this in chess, I cannot help myself. I'm sorry, Kelvin. I immediately think of soccer, and I immediately think about the Brazilians, and I immediately think about the samba. This
Nice.
this is this is this is flashy stuff.
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Um,
had we had if chess was a type of game where you would have supporters with vuvuzelas, this is where they start
this
going
is
down vuvuzela.
it's getting deafening now. Yeah, exactly. But just from a technical point of view, I just want to point out to the viewers this movie is quite elegant. It's almost not that Tando is trying to. I mean, he's not attacking the opponent's king. He's not threatening something very major, but the fact that he's doing this move, just asking for more trades, right? And in general, the side with the better pawn structure prefers going towards the end game. And this is what Black has been striving for the whole game through. And White is just itching to create something, and he is just Black is simply killing White's initiative. Like nothing is getting
Absolutely.
through. So beautiful
Absolutely.
move, beautiful technical move, added with a bit of tactical flavor over there. So
absolutely. So it's exactly, you put it in a very perfect way there, Calvin, because it any chances that White might have had with that rook to sort of at some point, let's just dream a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's allow White to dream.
Yes.
White to take on h5, then play d5, then play knight f6. Just
exactly.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Throwing the sand on the fire there immediately.
Immediately, it's not going to happen. You
Yeah.
know. So and okay, so rook takes d5, pawn takes d5. Now we're not going to have an attack by White, and it's just now a grind. So basically, Black is just grinding it out. Bishop d5 is very strong. Knight e4, a5, and then for time, bishop e6, knight g3. Okay. I'm feeling like there's a little bit of time pressure, but
yeah, for
still
sure.
handling very nicely. The pawn on g3 now, by the way, is just
Monster.
so beautiful because it creates mating nets. No,
Yeah.
This is now becoming a problem. Rook takes, and then rook d8, bishop b4, and he wants to take on d4 and does this, and I'm not sure at which stage, but he does write somewhere that Dr. Sheps offered him a draw, and he says that in his notes he says that he felt that even if even if he loses the game, but he's not going to accept the draw.
It's beautiful right now, right? You cannot stop.
Yeah. I mean, Black has got everything that he can dream of, and the problem is really that king. That king is not able to get out, as we can see, and now it's definitely game over. So
bravo there, bravo Tando. Tough luck there for Dr. Shabir. I think one thing that I can also just add there, just something I like that how Tando also just kept everything together. When you talk about the clock, and ever so often when you play higher rated players, I mean Shabir also one of the top players in the country and in the Western Province for many years now. Everybody knows him. Getting a great position or close to winning position against a top player doesn't automatically mean you win it, right? You still need to do the hard work, and Tando had to really deal with the pressure. And he played all over the board. He got all of his pieces in the game. He gave away the b6 pawn. It's very nicely he kept his composure throughout the game. So that's also quite admirable there. So well done.
Excuse me, Ken. What I want to throw in there as well is that, look, there are some players who are easier to beat because they, once you outplay them and you you show that you are on form and you played well. In a way, they kind of
Kind of
accept it,
collapse. Yeah.
and yeah, no, they will collapse, but psychologically, they kind of are saying, "Look, you played well," and there's even if they sit there for 20 minutes, but they are going through the motions, they'll give you the point. But
Yeah.
then there are other guys who don't want to lose.
Yes.
And
Yes.
when they are losing, they will climb almost on the table and do everything to survive.
Yes.
And Shabir is one of those players. He will
Exactly.
slam the
Exactly.
clock. He
The,
will do
the
this.
pencil is gonna, the pen is gonna get smashed. Everything. Yeah.
He's going to do everything to rattle you as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, what we're talking about is for the viewers to understand. It's not unfairness. It's everything within the rules. It's not going to distract you at any point, but any time that he can heighten the tension,
Yeah.
he will do that
Yeah. Yeah.
because and he's one of those players, and those players are normally very difficult to beat
Yes.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to deal with them as well.
Yeah. 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 For sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So
There's the you have to deal with him, and from what I can remember, Tando kept his composure. He remained cool as well during that.
Yeah.
So entertaining game. I think perhaps both sides need to just double check this line again. Perhaps Dr. Shabir is at crossroads there after Queen C7 to just double check everything. But very entertaining stuff. And I think this is also just an example of what is happening here in the A division. You make one small slip over there, you lose a tempo with A3, and the guys they don't let go of that bite over there. So interesting stuff in that matchup. Yeah,
exactly. And what I wanted to also mention is that I like that because the point that you are mentioning now is that when you give the game in, I think it's not just about, okay, I played a good game or whatever, but you are being brave because, as you say, we are going to dissect. And what I'm trying to say now is that Tando, because of this episode, he cannot now blindly go back to the same line again, because if we ever saw this, already sees many options of how to handle it.
Exactly.
So it immediately forces Tando as well to go back to the drawing board. But that's exactly what you need in order to improve. So
nice. Well put over there, Watu. Well put. So the channel is also forcing you to go do your homework, and everybody's improving along the way. Yes, well put there. Okay, so I think is that enough instructive nonsense for today?
That's enough instructive nonsense for today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Master Watu. Viewers, if you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to throw in your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to, I think you can perhaps either send us your game or talk to the tournament organizers there at the league. Maybe they'll take a photo of your game, your score sheet, and we are in touch with the organizers, so we will definitely receive that from them. So do send in your games that you want to analyze. And if you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to press the like button, the share button, and smash the subscribe button. And we will see you for the next episode and the next round of the league. Cheers.